Good afternoon, all. On behalf of IoT Academy, we welcome you all for the fourth session of National Level Faculty Refresher Program on Quality Teaching and Strategies in HEIs. Let me introduce the resource person of today's session, Dr. Anuradha Jain. Currently, Professor Jain is the principal at Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, Technical Campus, Delhi. An alumnus of IIM Kolkata and a scholar from University of Mumbai, she has been dedicated to the teaching community for over 22 years. She is a NAC assessor and has visited many colleges as NAC peer team member. Professor Jain has published many books and research articles to her credit in areas of business, economics, and environment. Dr. Jain was selected as one of the 100 eminent academicians of 2021 by International Institute of Organized Research for her remarkable contribution in the field of academics. She received the Best Paper Award at the International Conference on Development of Economies through Innovation and Sustainable Growth and Best Teacher Award for her service. She has been the resource person for numerous webinars, FDPs, and seminars at various national institutes and universities. Recently, she was invited as a conference chairperson and keynote speaker at Oxford, London. She is also the advisory member of International Association of Research and Development Organization. We welcome you, ma'am. And with this, we hand over the session to Dr. Anuradha Jain. Ma'am, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. And I welcome all the participants and I congratulate all of you for being the part of this refresher course. So today in this session, we will be discussing about a new education policy 2020. So what are the opportunities? What are the challenges of new education policy? So if we talk about new education policy 2020, and if we talk about the outcome of this main new education policy, then to brief you in 5-6 points, mainly now we are shifting from teaching to learning environment. So in new education policy, it is not mere, teaching, but also we talk about, learning concept and relearning and plus lifelong learning. And therefore, it is not just the teaching or the sharing of information, but we also used to, we have to use the experiential learning, and we used to make concepts clear by doing experiments and by the application of that knowledge. So our role of a teacher is not only just sharing information, but making students learn, relearn, and make them learn for lifelong. Another point which main changes that has taken place in this new education policy. Earlier, that education system was rigid in nature. Rigidity in terms of duration, rigidity in terms of syllabus, in terms of curriculum, and whatever curriculum was provided by the university or colleges, we used to teach that same. And now in the new education policy, from rigidity to flexibility. So now we talk more about, flexibility, and new education policy says that system should be flexible enough that student can choose their own area, student can make their own combination of the subject. A science student, if he is interested in music, so he can also opt for a subject related to music, related to dance, related to law. So that much flexibility we should give to the students. Another main area of change is, like in earlier, we used to just teach the curriculum subject in isolation, and now it has moved towards holistic and multidisciplinary approach. So NEP focus more on multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary approach so that we can have overall holistic development of the students. Then users of knowledge to now creators of knowledge. So not only we have to just, learn the concept and apply that same, but we also have to create the knowledge. So it means that we have to focus on the creativity, design thinking, and that should be the main focus so that they becomes the creator of knowledge. Earlier, we used to, prepare our students for the jobs, and we used to make them industry ready. We used to make them placeable. But now in the new education policy, we focus more on not only job seekers, but the job providers. And therefore, like Startup India project of the government is there. And government is now focusing, new education policy is focusing on the job providers. That means our students should become the job providers. They should start their own ventures, and they should have some creative ideas. And for financing those ideas, we should have incubation center. And therefore, new education policy is applying more or focusing more on the research and the application of that research in the real life. Then new education policy also talks about synergy of vocational education, with regular education. So because they are more focusing on the skill development, skill enhancement of the students, because all of us are the teachers, and we know that just taking degree, just theoretical concept, theoretical knowledge will not help. And therefore, skill development is very, very important for the student. Okay, and that is the main focus. These are the main focus areas of the new education policy 2020. But here today, we will be focusing more on what are the opportunities and challenges of this new education policies. So if we talk about opportunities, then there are various, wide opportunity that has been given to not only for the students, but also for the teachers and for all the stakeholders. But here the main focus is of the student. And the main opportunity, the first opportunity, first positive about this policy, we can say is the holistic approach, because new education policy talks about the holistic approach and the holistic and the overall development of a student. And this philosophy of education is based on the premise that each person finds, they should have their own identity. They should have their own meaning and purpose in life through connections to the community, to the natural world, and to humanitarian values such as compassion and peace. And in an education, means engaging and developing the whole person through education. So that means that holistic development, whether it be social development, emotional development, cognitive skills development, spiritual development, aesthetic, okay, nature, creative, physical, language. So a person should be grown in all the aspects of life. And this will help, the overall development of the student. So why we are talking about holistic development of the students here? Because the world research, emphasizing the significance of holistic approach to education. Early childhood educators are being challenged to integrate a teaching practice that focuses less on the traditional milestones of academic development and more on the complete, physical, emotional, psychological well-being of a child. And there is a research which is compelling, and studies shows over time that even a person with average IQ, that is intelligence, intellectual intelligence, but with very high emotional intelligence, are significantly more successful than those with much higher IQs but low EQ. Okay, so therefore, in this holistic approach, we will be focusing, or the new education policy will be focusing more on intelligence, okay, emotional intelligence also, because emotional intelligence is very, very important for any successful, professional life or personal life, because this research already has been proved that emotional intelligence play equal role in the growth and progress of any human being. And similarly, cognitive skills, social, cultural, physical, emotional, and spiritual dimensions of human development are integrally interwoven. And you cannot separate, these different aspects of life from each other. So holistic education, in other words, we can say that first it should instill curiosity and creativity. That means we have to instill the curiosity among the students to learn something new, to create new, to innovate new. They should have new ideas, and how to convert these ideas into practice. So that is the main focus of the holistic education. Secondly, encourage students to connect subjects using their creativity. That is what I already mentioned, that now it is not just teaching, but it is learning, relearning, and lifelong learning. And that can happen only when we connect their subject, their curriculum, with their creativity. So they have to be very, very creative in whatever they do. Then develop psychological, social, and emotional growth. As I already mentioned, that along with the intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence play a very, very important role. And there are various studies, those who have proved that people with high emotional intelligence are more successful, okay, than as comparative to only people with intellectual intelligence. Okay, so that is another aspect of holistic education. Then make learning a fun and meaningful experience, because when we will teach the subject with fun, with creativity, with experiential learning, then it will become a lifelong learning, and that will help in creating curiosity among the learners to learn something new. Then develop better communication skills and confidence. This is very, very important, because communication skills are to be developed during the education process. And communication does not mean here the only language, that is English language. It can be in their own mother tongue, in their own language, whichever medium of instruction it is there. But the only thing here is that they should be able to express of their feeling. They have to be expressive. They can communicate well. It includes various aspects of communication skills, like written communication, oral communication, body language, and every aspect of communication. Then value relationship and face challenges with high resilience. This is very important, because now we talk about value based education. Value system should be strong, and that is why all UGC, AICT, they are focusing on value based education. And we see that beauty, you can say, or the positives about the new education policy is that it talks about multidisciplinary approach, interdisciplinary approach, and transdisciplinary approach. So if we talk about multidisciplinary, so what is multiple disciplinary? Means multiple disciplines. Each contributes their piece to solving a problem. Okay, means any educational institution, if there is multidisciplinary education is given, then in anybody's career or life, all disciplines help in some way or the other. Okay, it is like an edited book or separate presentation by multiple experts. Because like if we talk about economics, so economics is not independent subject. Okay, their computer play a very, very important role, because application of knowledge through softwares, okay, that is always used in the business. It is used. Legal aspect is there. Okay, then marketing aspect is there. If you want to start a business, you should know how to do marketing. You should know how to do social media, how to can it be used for marketing purpose. Then e-commerce nowadays is very, very important. Then legal aspect is there, because if there are any legal issues, so this way multidisciplinary approach will help students to understand each and every aspect, okay, of the study of the curriculum which they are doing. Another focus is on interdisciplinary. Interdisciplinary means a conversation between and among the disciplines, like working together on solving a common problem, like a collaborative healthcare team. Okay, like one physician is there, one surgeon is there, okay, one cardiologist is there, and it's a collaborative health care team, and which try to solve a common problem. So that is known as interdisciplinary approach. Then it also focus on transdisciplinary approach. It means that a sustained conversation across and beyond disciplinary boundaries. So that means create a shared idea language such as emergence of family system, medicine, and all. So that means they are going beyond their discipline and doing something more creative beyond their discipline. Now, another opportunity in the new education policy which is given to the students, and it's a very good step, important step, even though it has created various challenges also for the organization, that is multiple entry and exit option. Now, imaginative and flexible curricular structure will enable creative combination of disciplines for study and would offer multiple entry and exit option. You know that in the new education policy, they have given multiple entry exit option to the students. Like if at any level students can enter, like after first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and exit options also. And nowadays, that if it's a program of 3 years and if students leave after 2 years, then he does not get anything in hand, and no certificate, no diploma is given to the students. But in the new education policy, even after 1 year, if student leave, then they will get certificate. After 2 years, diploma, 3 years degree, then 4 years, honors degree. So all these multiple entry exit options are given, and anytime student can again rejoin their course. Okay, and that as a teacher, after so many years of experience, we know that student face problems many a times because of any incidents that happens in the family. They are not able to continue their education at that moment. So this new education policy is also giving them this option that after 2 years, after 3 years, when situation becomes favorable, then they can enter again and they can start their education from where they have left. So, and this also gives more curiosity and also flexibility to the students. So this is one big opportunity for all the learners. Then there is opportunity for research internship. Like students at all higher education institute will be provided with opportunities for internship with local industries, businesses, artists, craftsperson, etc. And research internship with faculty and researchers at their own or other HEI research institutions. Because internship, even though like now in the present system also internship is there and it is mandatory in many of the programs, but some of the programs it is not there. But research focus is now more in the new education policy. And this internship will give hands-on training to the students, okay, about the research, about what business houses are doing, how they are developing, what they have done earlier. So this type of research on the basis of data collection or data analysis or then interpretation of the data analysis will help students to take business decisions when they enter into the industry. Then again, if we talk about that same point, multiple entry and exit, then that curriculum is designed in a very, very flexible way. And the undergraduate degree will be of either 3 or 4 years duration with multiple exit options within this period. Now, a certificate after completion of 1 year in a discipline, then diploma after 2 years, a bachelor degree after 3-year program, a 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor degree, that as we have discussed. Then again, very, very important step, opportunity, I will say, which is started with this new education policy is the Academic Bank of Credit. ABC it is known as. And there is National Academic Depository, NAD will be created, and all, it will be like your demat account that we open for buying and selling of shares. Similarly, there will be academic bank credit, where the credits of student earned after clearing paper will be added to their academic bank of credit. And after completion of the requisite number of credits, a student will be awarded with a degree or diploma or certificate as per the norms of the university. Now, what are the opportunities or benefit of this academic bank of credit? That students have flexibility that if after completion of 1 year in one organization, if they feel that yes, this another program or next year they have better opportunity at some other place, or suppose if they have to move from one place to the other place, so easily they can start their second year, third year in that particular institution. And digitally, all these credits will be again, stored in the academic bank credit. So irrespective of like from where they have done first semester, second semester, third semester, their account will be maintained, and they will be eligible for the award of the degree after this completion of the credits, which are requisite number of credits which are required to earn the degree for that particular program. So this is another one very good step, very important step which is taken by the new education policy. Another, as I said, that new education policy is giving many opportunities for research, and they want India to become the research hub, because that is the area where we are lacking. And irrespective of the bright brains that we have, but still, if we talk about our position in terms of research in the world, then we stand nowhere. So therefore, the focus of the new education policy here is to focus more on the research. So therefore, more like innovation activities. They want to create incubation centers everywhere, so that people can give practical shape to their ideas, business ideas, wherein MSME is also working hard in giving new ideas and incubation center help, and also financial help to convert their idea into practical aspect. Then there will be technology development centers, then centers in frontier areas of research, then greater industry academic linkages and interdisciplinary research, including humanities and social science research. Because interdisciplinary research will help more in practical application of the knowledge. Then multidisciplinary by 2030, this is the objective of new education policy, that by 2040, all higher education institutions shall aim to become multidisciplinary institution and shall aim to have larger student enrollment, preferably in the thousands. And for optimal use of infrastructure and resource, and for creation of vibrant multidisciplinary community. Because many institutions, you have seen that there are infrastructure, but proper optimum utilization of infrastructure is not there. Therefore, NEP is focusing more on multidisciplinary approach, so that will also help in optimal utilization of the resources that they have. Now, since this process will take time, so all higher education institute will first plan to become multidisciplinary by 2030, and then gradually increase student strength to desired level. Because for this, the objective also is to make self-reliant, self-sustained all higher education, so that their dependency in terms of finance on the government will go down, and they can have their new ideas to generate more revenue, and so that they can run their institution by their own. Then more HEI shall be established and developed in underserved regions to ensure full access, equity, and inclusion. And there shall be by 2030 be at least one large multidisciplinary HEI in or near every district. So that means they need to increase more higher education institutions, and in every district at least one multidisciplinary higher education institution should be there, because the objective is to increase the gross enrollment ratio also. So steps shall be taken towards developing high quality higher education institution, both public and private, that have medium of instruction in local Indian languages or bilingually. Okay, because now that all AICT, UGC, they are all focusing on Indian languages also. So it is not necessary that the higher education will be only in English now. Even science, maths, also they are converting these, books also in different local languages, so that students can easily understand and they can pursue their studies in their own language. And the main objective of making a multidisciplinary higher education institution and increasing the number of higher education institution is to increase the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, including vocational education. So at present, if we take the data of 2018, it was 26.3% enrollment, enrollment ratio, when they started working on the new education policy. So, and their objective is to make it 50% at least by 2035. So while a number of new institutions may be developed to attain these goals, a large part of the capacity creation will be achieved by consolidating or substantially expanding and also improving the existing, HEIs, because there are existing higher education institutions whose, potential or the capacity is underutilized, the resources are underutilized. So they are also thinking about the expansion of the existing higher education. Okay, so these were the main, opportunities, but there are various challenges also, and to implement this policy, various challenges are there, various, brainstorming sessions are going on, like how to implement this policy, because it is very visionary policy. It will make a drastic change. It's a revolutionary policy that will bring change in the entire educational system. But you know that our Indian mindset, still we are not ready for so much of flexibility. Okay, so therefore there are various challenges that we may have to face. But if we will work with a positive mindset, positive approach, and if we'll face all these challenges, then it will bring revolutionary change in the education system in India. Okay, so the vision of this policy is very aspirational, but the implementation roadmap and rigor will determine whether this truly foster, education for all and job creation. So new education policy 2020, advocates mainly three thematic development. Mainly, first is a move from content-driven pedagogy that inspired, rote learning to conceptual testing. So this is main, along with other developments that we have discussed. So it is not just content-driven. So that means that what I already shared, that it is not just sharing of information, but it is also about the practical application. Then it will also have 360-degree assessment, because we are talking about holistic, education, holistic development of the students. Then experiential approach, because we have to think about more skill development, vocational training, multidisciplinary approach, practical application of the knowledge that we will be doing. So more industry oriented program we have to introduce. So therefore it is more over towards experiential, approach. Now, in spite of this, so many, opportunities, so many positives, there are various challenges, okay, that we may face while applying, implementing this policy. Even though 1 year has already completed, we already started, implementation of this policy. First is about curriculum and content, because NEP calls for curriculum and pedagogical changes. And this, most of the universities have already started. And I know, I think almost all the universities now, they have reframed, redesigned their curriculum in terms of skill enhancement program. They have introduced ability enhancement program, core programs. They also have increased the electives. They also have included, MOOCs, so that to give students wide, flexibility. And all these credit transfers are also open. Even if students do with MOOCs, that credit will be transferred to their academic bank credit. So that implementation part we have already started, even though we are facing problems in this, because so many electives are given to the students, and sometimes as an organization, I know it becomes very, very difficult to provide, teachers with so many, specialization, then how to calculate the workload of a teacher. So there are pressures on the teaching faculty also, because how to take over, this all change and teaching new subjects and so many electives. So it's a big challenge for all the teachers with the curriculum part also, even though designing of the curriculum has been already taken care of. Then another challenge is, availability of teachers. It will be opportunity also for the newcomers, because many job opportunities in terms of teaching will be available. Okay, so over 250 million, that means 25 crore almost. Okay, plus students in K-12 schools in India by 2030. Okay, so that means this number of students, because gross enrollment ratio will increase, so obviously the number of students will increase by 2030. And if we take the student teacher ratio of 1:35, then India would need an almost 70 lakh plus teachers who will need to have graduated through defined B.Ed program for 12th pass, or graduates or postgraduates for 4, 2 or 1 year respectively. Okay, so it's a opportunity as well as a challenge both. Opportunity means there will be various job opportunities, people will get more options, they will get jobs easily, but again challenge is getting qualified teachers. Okay, so many number of teachers again is a big challenge, in the implementation of this new education policy. Then teacher skilling. This is again a very, very important, aspect. How to upskills. Okay, the teachers, those who will be joining this profession. So comprehensive. Okay, and see, FTA has announced a new education policy in adoption of that's to create a talented and curated pool of educators who can impart, quality education to the students. So, however, the current pool of educators need to be oriented towards these teaching techniques. It's a big challenge, because existing, teachers, they are also to be trained for these new skills, new advancement of technology and all. For technology at scale, like digital infrastructure has to be created. This is very important, because this is a big challenge for any institutions also, because digital classroom, remote expertise driven teaching models bridge gaps, in physical teaching and laboratory infrastructure. Then uniform assessment across schools, even in remote villages. So that is also a big challenge in front of the universities in terms of, CBSE, in front of different statutory bodies and all. Then evaluation infrastructure, like in NEP 2020, examinations are being to transform towards culture of assessment with continuous tracking of learning outcomes. Because now we are talking about outcome-based education. Outcome-based education, we are talking about continuous evaluation system. So in continuous evaluation system, we are not focusing just on one exam or just one end term exam. We are talking about regular assessment, 360-degree assessment of a teacher. So focus on higher order and foundational skills and AI-based software progress tracking to enable students to make optimal career choices. So the new education policy 2020 drafting committee has undertaken a comprehensive process that considers state or union territory governments, global best practice, expert opinions, field expertise, and stakeholder feedback. And after doing this, they have come out with 360-degree evaluation, which will have continuous evaluation system in the education. Then, again, another challenge is if they are expecting the enrollment ratio of 50%. So that means almost double of what we have now. So opening university every week, overall average it will come, is again a Herculean task, because India today has around 1,000 universities across the country. But if enrollment ratio is doubled to almost 50%, Then by 2035, which is one of the stated goal of the policy, we need to open one new university every week for the next 15 years. So if this speed means one new university every week for next another 15 years, if we will do, then only we will be able to absorb this 50% enrollment ratio. So the numbers are no less daunting in reforms to our school system also, not only higher education, but the new education policy intends to bring 2 crore children who are currently not in schools back into the school system. So whichever way we look at it, accomplishing this over 15 years requires setting up of around 50 schools every week. Okay, so you just see the numbers. Means if we talk about higher education, that means one new university every week for another 15 years. And if we talk about school education, to bring 2 crore children to school, we will have to have 50 schools every week to be open. But it also means, appointing at least 50 schools, that means 50 principals every single week, and at least 200 to 300 teachers every single week on the ongoing basis. That means again, 15, 20 years. So this, we can take it as opportunities also, but again as a challenge also. Then funding is a big challenge, in the COVID era that we have seen. The new education policy envisaged an increase in education spending from 4.6% to 6% of GDP. Now, which amounts to around 2.5 lakh crores per year. And this policy comes into being at the time when economy has been, battered by COVID-19 related lockdown. So again, it's a big challenge that we should have such a big, huge investment. So, and current focus on healthcare and economic recovery to lower the execution speed. While the new education policy is a 20-year journey, so one worries that we may be off to this stumbling start over the next 2-3 years when government and budgetary priorities are claimed by the more urgent but equally important needs of health care and economic recovery. Then another challenge is that we need to create a large pool of trained teachers, as so already covered in one head, that in school education, the policy envisages a sweeping, structural redesign of the curriculum. But in order to deliver this curriculum effectively, we need teachers who are trained in and understand the pedagogical needs. So training the existing teacher, again, one challenge. Then getting new teachers with those who are familiar with this, teaching pedagogies, technology is again a big challenge. Then interdisciplinary higher education demands for a cultural shift. In higher education, the new education policy focus on interdisciplinary learning. And in multidisciplinary universities is a very welcome step. We are doing this, but again, it is a big challenge. Why? Because teachers also should have overall knowledge about interdisciplinary approach of the subject. Then again, say apart from this, if we talk about another impediments or obstacles in the implementation of higher education, then first is about learning or certificate degree. Now, though flexibility in the higher education model through the concept of multiple exit is an important step for reducing the number of dropouts, a question still arises on the value of such certificate and diplomas. Okay, like multiple entries exit they have given, but suppose if a student is given certificate after 1 year or diploma after 2 years, then what will be the value of these certificates or these diplomas? So Indian psyche closely associate job with the degree acquired. Because now what is our mindset? Our mindset is, why do we take that degree or why do we want the certificate? Because we associate that with the job. And wherever students take admission, their more focus is on the placement. But here, what is the placement that we have to see? Okay, so That is again, impediments to this multiple entry exit system that has been introduced. So hence, to implement the new system, we have to dismantle the archaic thinking that only with a degree can one successfully secure a job. Okay, so we have to think about now the skill. We have to more focus on the talent, and instead of degree or certificate. So this is a dangerous, paradigm which undermines and discourages other innate talents of an individual. So this, we have to change our mindset here in the higher education specifically. Another is another challenge, like we are more talking about multidisciplinary, we are talking about interdisciplinary, but here, challenge is that orientation towards multidisciplinary education. The existing, education regime excludes formal training and orientation towards pedagogy for college and university educators. So this urgently calls for an overhaul of the curriculum design to make it flexible and organic for enabling foundational and higher order thinking and skill inculcating at different levels of education. So the policy seeks to establish, multidisciplinary institution for higher education, replacing the single disciplinary ones. So the road to attain this goal has been paved with, good intentions. Another is funding, as we have said, that fully implementation of this policy for higher education, given the limited resources at hand. So it requires private institutions to offer more scholarship to make admissions possible for students from low income group. But new education policy here fails to discuss how this can be achieved. How any self-financed institution, private institution will give so much of financial support to the students to get admissions. So this indicate a need for greater public funding in higher education, which is, reality does not sit well within the current scenario. So the increase in education budget from 3% to 6% of GDP is simply not at all sufficient to meet the implementation needs of the targets that has been set, okay, by new education policy. Another is, digital connectivity, because we are actually transforming everything, okay, technically on digital ground. So for this, we require internet penetration in remote areas because e-learning is the way forward. So as witnessed during the pandemic, now digital infrastructure for this purpose will include, digital classroom, expertise-driven online teaching models, AR, VR technologies, to overcome gaps in, physical teaching and lab infrastructure, uniform assessment scheme across, all schools, colleges, everywhere, and also teacher training to become, adapt at new age technologies. So this will continue to be a major challenge in the next decade almost, not for a short period of time. So there are various, and if we talk about like institutions point of view, if we talk about multiple exit, multiple entry systems, so there will be a lot of, uncertainties that will be created for the higher educational institutions. Like today, if students are there, next year, how many will be there? How many will go to some other places, or how many new will come? So this all there, we have to find out the solutions for this type of uncertainties, because otherwise, there will be sometimes, maybe there will be infrastructure will be over pressured, or it can also be underutilized if next year, suppose students are not there, okay, if they go to somewhere else for the next year, second year, third year education. So how to create, bring this certainty in this, what will be the solution for this type of uncertainties, and how, long-term plans will be implemented of any organization. So these are various questions, that we need, answer for this while implementing, this various aspects of new education policy. So if to sum up this, I would say that, drafting of new education policy has made a comprehensive attempt to design a policy that considers, diverse viewpoints, global best practices in education, field experience, stakeholders' feedbacks are taken. Mission is very aspirational, but implementation has a big challenge. And how we will make roadmap for implementation, even though it is done, phase wise manner, but still it's a challenge. Okay, it's a big challenge how we will manage that. So it all depends upon how we prepare the roadmap, how open we are in terms of this implementation of the policy. So everything will depend on this. uh, but overall, if we see, new education policy is it will play a very, very important role, because students will get exposure, student will get, global education, you can say, and they will get good exposure. Even faculty members will also get good exposure, sometimes not willingly, but yes, forcefully also. We will be forced to read, we will force, and we will be forced to, understand multidisciplinary approach, interdisciplinary approach, and also, outcome based education. So it will be a great learning for all, and there are various opportunities that has been opened up with the, implementation of the new education policy for all the stakeholders, not only for the students. Even though, workload of the teachers, the overall work has been increased, it may increase further, but still, okay, it will give a great learning to all of us. Okay, so thank you so much. Now we can have an open house discussion. If anybody wants to contribute, if they want to add on anything or any questions, so we can take up those questions. Thank you.
The session is open for discussion now. You can unmute and interact with ma'am, or you can post the questions in the chat box also. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.
It is good to interact. Okay, so if anything you want to add, so please unmute yourself and add to what we have discussed, what I have briefed about the new education policies, opportunities, and challenges. Okay, it should not be one-sided. So that is why I thought that we can spend more time on the discussion instead of, just having one-way interaction.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, good
Um,
afternoon.
yeah, ma'am, I just had one question that we are talking about the higher education. Now, the
Hmm.
main thing is that in higher education, students will be coming from schools, right, and
Yes,
colleges. Now, the
yes.
government's policy that we are not supposed to, fail any student at the school level and all, will that not affect the higher education as well?
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
we'll be getting that lot who is getting passed in spite of getting, let's say, 15% or 20% marks.
Hmm. Yes, sir,
So,
that's true, ma'am. That's true, because that will affect. But in this case, you have just missed one thing here, that they are talking about
Hanji,
360-degree assessment. Okay, so
right,
not just marks. They are saying that don't take exam and don't evaluate students on the basis of just one exam. Okay, because what
okay,
we do,
right,
we assess students on the basis of just examination. Now there are many students, you must also have, come across, that they are very good, very intelligent. Okay, like even if I talk about
Hanji,
7th, 8th standard student, okay, they are very
yes, ma'am,
sharp minded, their application of mind is, very brilliant they are. But the
yes,
thing is,
yes,
they may not be able to perform in the exam because their interests are different.
right,
Okay,
definitely,
that
yes,
happens
yes,
many a times. Okay, so that is what new education policy talks about, that to widen the scope. Okay, if why to, because see what happens nowadays, till 10th all subjects are
Hanji,
compulsory except one
right,
language
right, Hanji,
paper. Okay,
Hanji,
maths is
yeah,
there, science is there, physics, chemistry is there. Okay, biology is there. I'll tell you
right,
example of my own son. Okay, he never liked science. Okay, and he
okay,
said that I am forcefully, learning this physics, chemistry, and biology till 10th because I am forced to do it. Okay, because I have
right,
no other option. but to just appear for the exam, whatever be the
Right.
marks. Okay, so
Right.
in this case, I think new education policy, they are not saying that irrespective of their performance, you take students. But they
Right.
are just saying, they are focusing that you make things so wide and so open that why not that student go in that area where he or she is interested. Okay,
Right.
and we can
Anji.
have this 60-degree assessment, and so instead of forcing that child for taking thing which he is not interested, we can create those areas for them where they are
Mhm.
interested. Okay.
And they can tap their potential to the
Yes,
fullest.
they can tap their potential there. Because see, I'm telling you this real example. Now my son is in 11th. I know,
Anji.
okay, I struggled more than him. कि उसको कैसे
I understand.
we,
Yeah,
make him
definitely.
score 80% marks, 85% marks, at least in these subjects. And he is
Right.
very
To get
intelligent.
admission.
Okay, he is very, very intelligent, but he does not like the subject. But
Right.
we had no option but to go with the rigid system.
Right.
Okay, so that is the interpretation actually. So they are saying that, okay, don't go for this stereotype exam, but time to
Right.
time.
So we start at grassroots level and then we move up
Yes,
accordingly.
yes.
Right.
That is the ultimate
Wonderful.
objective actually. That is the objective.
Right. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello, madam.
Yes, sir. Yeah, please.
My question is that you have told that in the NEP 2020 have a exit entry and
Yes,
entry and exit options. Okay,
yes, yes.
is this facility to free to students for taking entry or exit, or by institutional processing, he will get the permission to exit or
No,
entry?
actually, see, when we will implement this fully, this, new education policy, it is actually on the wish or will of the student. Okay, like suppose, for example, if any mishappening happens in the family. See, I am on this position from last so many years, and as a teacher also, I have seen, there are students, those who have to leave in between for their education, okay, because of the family circumstances. And they just go with empty hands. Suppose if anybody is in the final year and something wrong happened, like now COVID, you must have also experienced many cases where students lost their parents. They were the only earning member in the family and they had to leave their education. Now, after 2 years of education, if student is leaving, what is there in their hand? They are zero. After 4 years, after 2 years, they will be called only 12th class, 12th pass student. Who will acknowledge their first year or second year? So here, but yes, only with the approval of the institution and on the demand of the student. Student can leave after 1 year or after 2 years, and they will be given at least certificate after 1 year, diploma after 2 years. So at least they will have something in their hand. Okay. So at least that 2 years are not wasted. And suppose if we talk about 5 year integrated law, okay, because here in our college we also have 5 year integrated law. Even if they say that BA LLB, BB LLB, but our university is not giving BA degree after 3 years. If student is leaving after 3 years, okay. So if anybody leaves after 3 years, they are again going with empty hands. Actually, this is injustice, for the students. So therefore, in that sense, it is good. But yes, your question, like it will be on the demand of the student, but as per the system, as per the procedure of the institution. Yes, sir. Have I answered your question?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other queries?
Yeah, anything you want to add to what we have discussed? So not just the question. You can add your viewpoint also, like, okay, how we can implement, how we can help student on, see, this brainstorming session is basically like if we can come out with some solution, we can even forward that to government also in writing, that may help them, okay, in finding out the solution for the challenges that they are also facing. Nothing to add? No question? Ma'am, there are no questions.
Shall we wind up, ma'am, then?
Yeah, if there is no question, no points to add, then yes.
On behalf of IoT Academy, we thank Dr. Anuradha, ma'am, for the informative, interactive, enlightening, and enriching session, ma'am. Thank you once again for the amazing and excellent presentation. We thank you for enhancing your understanding with the commendable presentation, ma'am. We thank you very much for your efforts.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
It was an amazing session, ma'am. We thank you very much for your efforts, ma'am.
Thank you so
Thank you, ma'am.
much. Thank you.
I thank all the participants for joining the session today. Kindly submit the feedback form using the link that has been posted in the chat box. Thank you all. Have a great day. Kindly submit the feedback form using the link that has been posted in the chat box. Thank you all.